Advanced English Arabic Learning Session 52. Faking an elaborate yawn, I sneak a glance over my shoulder just in time to see her back as she leaves. They were genuinely intrigued by the story. Columns supporting the roof were inlaid with elaborate mahogany paneling inlaid with rosewood. A small silver crown was inlaid in the wood. Carjacking is a big worry. The streets were rife with rumor and fear. To pander to different tastes, Joanna had a tiff with her boyfriend. This travel involves elaborate planning and discussions about eating. It's a long shot, but well worth trying. They housed local elite families. In a time of barbarous cruelty, the human menagerie forms the backdrop to our story. I have a hunch that someone is telling lies. The dictator's henchmen. They had a menagerie of creatures on their property. A rabbit hutch. Overcast mornings are the sure forerunners of steady rain. The ice safe was a forerunner of today's refrigerator. I have a gushing period. For their innocence and good nature, it becomes more difficult to treat them cruelly. Don't look the gift horse in the mouth. He lets us see the animal's tensed body. She was regarded as the surrogate for the governor during his final illness. The weather was minging. The detail gives the novel some verisimilitude. The library has been a focal point of the city for over 100 years. An egg poacher, a pan for cooking eggs or other food by poaching. She's making sly innuendos. A healing potion. He was deposed as paramount chief. Zululand was annexed to British authority. This coloration, typical of many marine mammals, provides camouflage. His zany humor leaves world in eddies of wind. The sample is titrated at a pH near 10. She was one of the more outspoken personalities. The door closed with a thud. We all saw him take full advantage of the plethora of young female running around. He was trying to goad her into a fight. I plugged my ears with my Walkman and reclined into the barber chair. Common belief holds that sex dwindles after you have children. But it appears that may not be the case. Police whistles blew. The major implications for the likelihood of life being found on exoplanets. The umpire blew his whistle. It raises the possibility that some exoplanets could house the right conditions. Angry motorists blew their horns. By the end of the decade, scientists will have discovered a cure for influenza. A rear tire had burst. I wouldn't like to be involved into a protracted discussion. The fuse had burned out. I wish I had had Runa's book before I began writing my first book. A man whose cover was blown. I wish I had taken more time before I answered Haifa's inquiry. Take a dive. He would lose his job if he were identified. Clue me in on your dad moves. He said he would be glad to write me a recommendation. She had clued her in about Peter. Failure could jeopardize the award. I didn't have a clue what was happening. A devaluation of the dollar would jeopardize New York's position as a financial hub. She found a towel and began rubbing her hair. Seed germination is a developmental process of reactivation of metabolism to originate a new plant. Badly fitting shoes can rub painfully. On the trenches were pieces of turf, which served for camouflage. A muscle rub. People who develop tics as children are found to be more susceptible to OCD. Tics are a habitual spasmodic contraction of the muscles. Sourpuss is a bad-tempered or habitually sullen person. There was also substantial betting on the result of the game. His habitual use of heroin. You need to be logged in before you can bid on this item. A habitual late sleeper. I am unable to sit, hold anything firmly, neither bend my hands nor legs. His habitual dress. That was the rub, she had not cared. How long have you known him? Thanks, I am greatly relieved. Rub noses. Time presses on and I have to bid farewell to Anne. The truth will shake out. In resigning, he bid farewell to one of the top private sector jobs in Ireland. To pull anything off. I threw the ball farther than Bill. The financial crisis caused further implications. He's racking his brains about how to deal with the matter. The hounds have been loosed. She fell down and grazed her knees. The ground should be well dug and manured. A mere glance upwards at a bright lamp caused it to lower from the domed ceiling. A crazed porcelain sink. To use public transportation more often, the harder we try, the healthier our planet will be. Develop fine cracks. Should parents be obliged to immunize their children against common childhood diseases? Internal stresses often caused the glue to craze. Diseases such as dysentery were the result of poor hygiene. The islands were ceded to Britain. But these have long been eradicated since the arrival of good sanitation. The cutthroat world of fashion. A decision not to immunize will have widespread repercussions for the whole of society. By no means did I intend to insult your mother. The company was by no means a financial success. She's by no means lacking in consideration. He was greeted with rapturous applause. They shopped around for cheaper food. I am by no means at all convinced that you are remorseful. It was by no means excellent, but still better than last year. You really shouldn't hike alone in the rainforest by any means. He is by no means a weak opponent. Your fly is down means your zipper is undone on your pants. It is by no means over. He was by no means happy. I wouldn't say I was an expert, not by any means. I reckon you shopped the image, altar. To speak of devastation at prospect of losing her to cancer. How often men and women steal sneaky glances. Contrary to what some men might imagine, it is blindingly obvious. Blindingly white beams of light. The reason is blindingly obvious. All the ensigns of our greatness. Some men had clearly mastered the art of subtlety better than others. She threw a withering glance at him. If you suspect a gas leak, do not turn on an electric light. They don't just beat you, they rub it in. After hours of questioning, the suspect confessed. Designed to make it easier for police to keep tabs on terror suspects. He'd better behave, or I'll dice him. To track and intercept suspected extremists heading for Syria. There is no room for complacency. Always remember to simmer the soup, not boil it. Don't you ever wish you had someone to share your troubles with? Deserters from the army. I took his exam for him, on his behalf. It would be a hard slog back to the camp. Try propagating your own houseplants from cuttings. The two republics' common border. The common or vernacular name. Common land. By hook or by crook. His teeth were yellow and crooked. There are hundreds of cultivars of the olive tree. The edible olive has been cultivated for at least 5,000 to 6,000 years. He crooked a finger for the waitress. To jockey your way to victory. The immediate ancestry of the cultivated olive is unknown. Apprentice jockey. He thinks his grandson is the cutest little shaver there ever. I remember when you used to come to these games as a little shaver with your dad. You must face up to the authorities if you have done something wrong. Tack means to nail with a tack. You have to grease someone's palm. I'd never oil a police officer's palm, that's illegal. A cocktail shaker. Boilerplate refers to standardized text. Couple the green one onto the red one. He is so funny, he just cracks me up. I fed all the coins into the telephone and waited to be connected. A series of devious stratagems. She doesn't scruple to ask her parents for money. Lacking familial support. Health authorities should foster good practice by disseminating information. The military is staging a coup. I wanted to skip my English lesson to visit my mother. The end. Coming next. Session 53.